Director Michael Harrison wasn't just relaxing in the VIP lounge that day during his layover, but when lounge staff questioned his membership, the administrative badge revealed something that would transform every employee's understanding of airport hierarchy. Director Michael Harrison settled into the plush leather armchair in the exclusive Admirals Club VIP lounge at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, with the relaxed bearing and professional confidence of someone who had spent the last 18 extraordinary years methodically building his career from entry-level customer service representative to director of operations for one of America's busiest and most complex aviation facilities, overseeing daily operations that involved coordinating thousands of employees, managing hundreds of flights, and ensuring the seamless movement of over 200,000 passengers who depended on efficient, safe, and professional airport services every single day. At 52 years old, he carried himself with the quiet authority and understated competence that comes from intimate knowledge of every aspect of airport operations, from baggage handling systems and air traffic coordination to emergency response protocols and customer service excellence programs that had earned his facility recognition as one of the premier airports in the global aviation industry through innovative management practices and unwavering commitment to operational excellence. Today marked a rare personal travel day as he was flying to Seattle to attend his daughter's college graduation ceremony, a milestone achievement that filled him with pride and represented the culmination of years of hard work, sacrifice, and determination to provide his family with opportunities and security while advancing his own career through dedication, professional development, and exceptional performance that had earned him respect throughout the aviation industry. His casual khaki pants and navy polo shirt were a deliberate departure from his usual business attire, part of his conscious decision to travel anonymously and observe how airport staff and services performed when they believed they were interacting with ordinary passengers rather than senior management personnel who possessed ultimate authority over policies, procedures, and employment decisions that affected thousands of airport workers and millions of annual passengers. The VIP lounge represented a well-deserved respite where he could relax, review some light paperwork, and enjoy premium amenities while waiting for his connecting flight to the West Coast. Though his trained eye continued monitoring operational details and customer service interactions that provided valuable insights into areas where improvements might enhance passenger satisfaction and operational efficiency. Lounge manager Patricia Williams, a recent hire with 6 months of experience who had been specifically recruited from a competitor airport to bring fresh perspectives and enhanced customer service standards to the premium passenger experience, immediately noticed Michael's presence and felt compelled to investigate what she perceived as a potential membership violation or unauthorized access to exclusive facilities that were reserved for elite frequent flyers and premium ticket holders who paid substantial fees for privacy, comfort, and superior service amenities. Williams had developed strong opinions about maintaining exclusive standards and protecting the lounge's upscale atmosphere from individuals who might not possess proper qualifications or appreciation for the refined environment that distinguished VIP facilities from standard terminal areas where ordinary passengers waited for their flights alongside crowds, noise, and basic amenities that reflected different service expectations and pricing structures. "Excuse me, sir." Patricia Williams approached Michael with the aggressive posture and suspicious demeanor of someone who believed she was protecting the exclusive VIP lounge from unauthorized intrusion by individuals who lacked proper membership credentials or elite status qualifications that justified access to premium amenities and services that were specifically designed for high-value customers who generated significant revenue for the airline through frequent travel and premium ticket purchases. "I'm going to need to see your membership card and boarding pass to verify that you have legitimate access to this exclusive facility and its premium services." Her tone carried unmistakable implications of doubt and skepticism, suggesting that she found it highly unlikely that Michael could possibly possess the elite frequent flyer status or premium membership qualifications typically required for VIP lounge access at major international airports that served discriminating travelers who expected and paid for superior comfort and service excellence. Michael looked up from his tablet with the patient composure of someone who had unfortunately encountered this type of discriminatory treatment numerous times throughout his career, though he remained consistently disappointed by the persistence of such prejudiced assumptions in environments where professionalism and equal treatment should have been fundamental operating principles regardless of a passenger's appearance or perceived social status. "Certainly," he replied with calm professionalism as he retrieved his membership card and boarding pass from his travel documents, his movements deliberate and courteous to avoid providing any excuse for escalation of what was already an unnecessarily confrontational and discriminatory encounter that violated basic principles of customer service and professional courtesy. "Here are my credentials for your review and verification." Williams examined the documents with exaggerated scrutiny and obvious skepticism, studying the membership card and boarding pass as if she were investigating suspected fraud or identity theft, rather than conducting routine verification of legitimate VIP lounge access that should have been processed efficiently and respectfully according to standard customer service protocols. "This premier elite status seems unusual," she announced loudly enough for other lounge guests to hear her accusatory implications and witness what was becoming an increasingly embarrassing display of discriminatory treatment toward someone who possessed legitimate credentials and authorization for all requested services and amenities. "We've had problems with fake membership cards and fraudulent access attempts, so I'm going to need additional verification before I can allow you to remain in this exclusive facility." The discriminatory nature of her demands became immediately apparent to nearby passengers, who observed that white travelers with similar credentials were routinely admitted without any additional scrutiny or invasive questioning about their qualifications or legitimacy as VIP lounge members who deserved respectful treatment and professional service. As the confrontation continued in full view of other VIP lounge guests who were witnessing what appeared to be obvious discriminatory treatment of a legitimate member who possessed proper credentials and authorization for facility access, Michael maintained his characteristic professionalism and dignified composure. Despite the increasingly obvious bias and institutional discrimination he was experiencing from service personnel who should have been providing courteous assistance rather than hostile interrogation based solely on prejudiced assumptions about who belonged in elite aviation environments. "Ms. Williams," he said with calm authority while producing additional identification and travel documentation from his leather briefcase, "I understand you have security responsibilities, but I believe my Premier Elite membership card and first-class boarding pass should provide adequate verification of my legitimate access to this VIP lounge and its amenities." The comprehensive documentation package included multiple forms of identification, extensive travel, history records, and detailed membership benefits information that clearly established his qualifications for VIP lounge access and premium services that were routinely available to elite frequent flyers who met specific travel volume and spending requirements through their demonstrated loyalty and business value to the airline and its partner organizations. Williams continued her discriminatory behavior by subjecting Michael's legitimate credentials to excessive scrutiny while making increasingly unreasonable demands for supplementary verification that would never have been required of white passengers in similar circumstances who possessed identical membership qualifications and travel authorization. "I'm still not convinced these documents are legitimate," she declared, with obvious hostility and skepticism that was clearly motivated by racial bias rather than genuine security concerns or professional obligations to protect facility integrity and exclusive access standards. Anyone can obtain fake membership cards these days, and I don't think someone like you would realistically have access to this type of exclusive VIP facility or premium aviation services. Her explicitly discriminatory language and obvious prejudice created an uncomfortable atmosphere that was witnessed by multiple lounge guests who began documenting the incident through discreet social media posts and direct complaints to customer service representatives about the unprofessional conduct they were observing from someone who was supposed to represent the highest standards of hospitality and customer service excellence. Senior flight attendant James Rodriguez, who had been observing the developing situation while waiting for his crew transportation, immediately recognized that legitimate member was being subjected to inappropriate and potentially illegal discriminatory treatment that violated both company policies and federal regulations governing equal access to public accommodations and transportation services that should be available to all qualified customers regardless of their demographic characteristics. Rodriguez approached the confrontation with obvious concern about the legal implications and reputational damage that could result from discriminatory treatment of a legitimate VIP lounge member who deserved the same respectful service and professional courtesy that was routinely provided to all other passengers regardless of their race or appearance. Is there some kind of problem here that needs management attention? He asked diplomatically while observing Williams's aggressive posture and Michael's professional composure, immediately recognizing the discriminatory undertones and institutional bias that were preventing a qualified member from enjoying the premium services and amenities that he had legitimately earned through extensive travel and membership qualifications. We're just conducting routine verification of membership credentials, Williams replied defensively, though her explanation sounded increasingly discriminatory and professionally inappropriate as more witnesses gathered to observe her behavior and question her judgment in handling what should have been a routine member service interaction. I have concerns about the authenticity of these documents and need to conduct additional background verification before allowing access to our exclusive facilities and premium amenities. Several other lounge guests who had been enjoying their premium services began expressing their disapproval of the discriminatory treatment they were witnessing, with many commenting among themselves about the obvious bias and unprofessional conduct being displayed by someone who was responsible for maintaining the lounge's reputation for superior customer service and hospitality excellence. Among the growing crowd of concerned witnesses were several airline executives, frequent business travelers, and aviation industry professionals who immediately recognized the discriminatory nature of Williams's behavior and began expressing their outrage through direct intervention and social media documentation of the incident that was damaging the facility's reputation and potentially exposing it to significant legal liability. Customer Service Supervisor Linda Chen, who had been monitoring lounge operations from her administrative office, finally decided that the situation required immediate intervention to prevent further escalation and potential legal consequences that could result from continued discriminatory treatment of a legitimate member who possessed comprehensive documentation and proper authorization for all requested services and facility access. The presence of multiple witnesses and growing social media attention created additional pressure for immediate resolution and appropriate disciplinary action against personnel who had violated both company policies and federal anti-discrimination regulations that governed access to public accommodations and transportation services. During the extended confrontation that was now being witnessed and documented by dozens of VIP lounge guests, airline personnel, and airport staff who were present in the exclusive facility, Michael carefully observed and mentally documented the systematic patterns of discrimination and differential treatment that were being displayed not only by Williams, but also by other service personnel, who seemed to automatically assume that certain categories of passengers required additional scrutiny and verification based solely on their appearance, rather than their actual qualifications, membership status, or legitimate business purposes. He noted how white passengers with identical membership credentials were processed efficiently and courteously without any demands for supplementary documentation or invasive questioning about their authorization to access exclusive facilities and premium services that were available to anyone who met established membership requirements and travel qualifications. The contrast in treatment was so obvious and systematic that even casual observers began commenting among themselves about the discriminatory behavior they were witnessing, with many expressing their disapproval through social media posts that documented the unequal treatment and called attention to the persistence of racial bias in industries and environments that should have been governed by objective standards and professional protocols rather than subjective assumptions and prejudiced stereotypes. When a young white businessman approached the lounge reception desk with minimal documentation and was immediately welcomed with warm greetings and efficient service that facilitated his access to premium amenities without any security screening or verification procedures, the discriminatory double standard became so apparent that several witnesses began vocally expressing their outrage and demanding immediate intervention from senior management to address the obvious civil rights violations and unprofessional conduct that were damaging the facility's reputation. Michael also observed how lounge staff consistently addressed white members with respectful titles and deferential language, while treating him with obvious skepticism and barely concealed hostility despite his professional demeanor, comprehensive documentation, and clearly legitimate membership status that should have warranted the same courteous treatment provided to all other customers regardless of their demographic characteristics or the prejudiced assumptions of individual employees. The systematic nature of the discrimination suggested broader institutional problems and training deficiencies that extended beyond individual prejudice to encompass organizational policies and cultural attitudes that needed comprehensive reform and ongoing oversight to ensure compliance with federal anti-discrimination laws and basic principles of equal treatment and professional service delivery. As the discriminatory treatment continued, despite the presence of multiple witnesses and comprehensive documentation of his legitimate membership status and VIP lounge access qualifications, Michael made the strategic decision to remain patient and professional while allowing the situation to develop in a way that would create maximum educational value and lasting impact for everyone involved in the incident, including service personnel who clearly needed additional training and sensitivity awareness to prevent similar violations of customer rights and professional standards in the future. His extensive experience managing complex operational challenges and personnel issues throughout his airport administration career had taught him that sometimes the most effective approach to creating meaningful institutional change was to allow discriminatory individuals to reveal their true character and limited perspectives through their own words and actions, creating opportunities for comprehensive accountability and systematic reform that would benefit countless other passengers who might face similar treatment based on prejudiced assumptions and cultural bias. He continued documenting the systematic patterns of discrimination through discrete observation and mental notation, while maintaining his dignified composure and professional demeanor. Despite the obvious frustration and anger that any reasonable person would experience when subjected to such blatant civil rights violations and unprofessional conduct from service personnel who were being compensated to provide courteous assistance rather than discriminatory harassment based on racial stereotypes and institutional bias, Supervisor Chen approached the growing crowd with obvious urgency and concern as she realized that the situation had escalated far beyond acceptable limits and was creating serious legal exposure for the airline and airport facility through the documented discriminatory conduct of personnel who had clearly violated both company policies and federal regulations governing equal treatment and non-discrimination in public accommodations and transportation services. "Mr. Harrison," she said with genuine respect and obvious embarrassment about the treatment he had received from her staff, though she had no idea of his true position and authority within the airport's administrative hierarchy. "I want to personally apologize for this completely inappropriate and unacceptable situation that violates every principle of customer service and professional conduct that should govern our operations." Her intervention immediately changed the dynamics of the confrontation, as other personnel began to understand that serious consequences would follow for anyone who continued engaging in discriminatory behavior or unprofessional conduct toward legitimate customers who deserved respectful treatment and professional courtesy regardless of their appearance or any stereotypical assumptions that individual employees might harbor about their qualifications or membership status. Supervisor Chen immediately took control of the situation with the decisive authority of someone who understood both the legal implications and the moral imperatives involved in addressing discrimination, while ensuring that all customers received equal treatment regardless of their race background, or any prejudiced assumptions that individual employees might harbor about their legitimacy or qualifications for premium services and exclusive facility access. "Ms. Williams," she said with unmistakable displeasure and supervisory authority, "I need you to step away from this situation immediately while I personally review Mr. Harrison's membership credentials and ensure that he receives the professional courtesy and premium service that every VIP lounge member deserves when utilizing our facilities and amenities." Her direct intervention and obvious disapproval of Williams's discriminatory conduct sent a clear message to all employees and witnesses that such behavior would not be tolerated and would result in serious consequences for anyone who violated company policies or federal regulations governing equal treatment and non-discrimination in aviation services and public accommodations. Williams reluctantly stepped back with obvious resentment and defensive body language that clearly indicated her inability to understand or acknowledge the inappropriate nature of her conduct toward a legitimate member who possessed comprehensive documentation and proper authorization for all requested services and facility access that were available to anyone who met established membership requirements and travel qualifications. "Ma'am," she said defensively in a last-ditch attempt to justify her discriminatory behavior, "I was just following standard security procedures and trying to protect our exclusive facility from unauthorized access and potential membership fraud that could compromise the integrity of our premium services and VIP amenities." Her explanation only served to further highlight her prejudiced assumptions and demonstrate her complete lack of awareness about appropriate customer service standards and legal requirements for equal treatment that should govern all interactions with passengers and members regardless of their demographic characteristics or her personal biases and stereotypes about who belonged in exclusive aviation environments. Chen examined Michael's membership credentials, travel documentation, and identification materials with the professional competence of someone who had spent years working in customer service and hospitality management, immediately recognizing that all documentation was legitimate, comprehensive, and fully compliant with membership requirements and facility access standards. "Mr. Harrison," she said with obvious respect and genuine remorse for the discriminatory treatment he had experienced, "your membership credentials are completely in order, and I want to personally ensure that you receive the highest level of VIP service and premium amenities as you continue your travel experience with us today." As Supervisor Chen continued reviewing Michael's comprehensive identification and travel documentation package with increasing attention to detail and professional curiosity about the extensive travel history and elite membership qualifications that indicated someone with significant business travel experience and aviation industry familiarity. Her expression gradually shifted from routine customer service courtesy to obvious puzzlement and growing recognition that she might be dealing with someone whose professional background and industry connections exceeded typical VIP lounge member profiles and business travel patterns. "Mr. Harrison," she said with increasing interest and professional respect as she studied his identification materials and travel records that revealed patterns suggesting deep familiarity with airport operations and aviation industry practices. "I notice that your travel history and membership profile indicate extensive experience with airport facilities and aviation services that suggest you might have professional connections to the aviation industry beyond typical business travel requirements." The comprehensive documentation revealed frequent travel patterns to major airports worldwide, extensive knowledge of operational procedures and facility layouts, and professional contacts throughout the aviation industry that indicated someone with significant expertise and institutional knowledge that exceeded casual business travel experience or routine customer familiarity with airport services and amenities. Michael smiled with quiet satisfaction as he realized that his cover was beginning to unravel through the careful observation and professional curiosity of someone who possessed sufficient experience and institutional knowledge to recognize anomalies and patterns that might not be apparent to less experienced personnel or casual observers who lacked detailed understanding of aviation industry practices and operational requirements. "Ms. Chen," he said with growing confidence and professional authority as he decided that the educational value of the situation had been maximized and it was time to reveal his true identity and position within the airport's administrative hierarchy. "I believe it's time for me to provide some additional context about my professional background and relationship with this airport facility that might help explain some of the patterns and familiarity that you've observed in my documentation and travel history." The anticipation in his voice and obvious shift in demeanor immediately captured the attention of nearby witnesses who sensed that something significant was about to be revealed that would fundamentally change their understanding of what they had been witnessing during the extended confrontation and discriminatory treatment that had dominated the VIP lounge atmosphere for the past hour. The moment Michael Harrison reached into his briefcase and withdrew his official airport identification badge and administrative credentials that clearly identified him as Director of Operations for Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, with ultimate authority over all customer service standards, employee conduct policies, and operational procedures that governed every aspect of the facility's daily operations. A stunned silence fell over the assembled crowd of VIP lounge guests, airline personnel, and service staff as the full magnitude of the discriminatory treatment and institutional bias became undeniably apparent to everyone present in the exclusive facility. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced with quiet authority and professional dignity as he displayed his official credentials for everyone to see, "I am Michael Harrison, Director of Operations for this airport facility, and I have just experienced firsthand the type of discriminatory treatment and unprofessional conduct that violates every principle of customer service excellence and equal treatment that should characterize our operations and represent our commitment to serving all passengers with dignity and respect." The revelation created an immediate and profound transformation in the attitudes and behavior of everyone present, including service personnel, airline staff, and passengers who suddenly understood that they had witnessed a shocking example of institutional discrimination against someone whose professional authority and administrative responsibility encompassed oversight of the very facilities and services where the discriminatory treatment had occurred. Williams stood frozen in complete horror and professional devastation as she realized that her discriminatory behavior and prejudiced assumptions had been directed toward someone who possessed ultimate authority over her employment, performance evaluation, and continued eligibility to work in the aviation industry, where customer service excellence and professional conduct were fundamental requirements for career advancement and job security. The crowd of witnesses began murmuring among themselves with expressions of amazement, professional embarrassment, and growing awareness of the extraordinary irony that someone responsible for establishing and enforcing customer service standards had been subjected to the exact type of discriminatory treatment that his policies and training programs were specifically designed to prevent and eliminate from airport operations. Supervisor Chen stepped forward with obvious professional mortification and genuine respect as she began to comprehend the full implications of what had occurred and the extraordinary opportunity for institutional learning and improvement that had been created through this unfortunate but educational incident. "Director Harrison," she said with sincere admiration and professional gratitude, "your patience and professionalism during this terrible situation demonstrate the exact type of leadership and character that make our airport facility a model for customer service excellence and operational integrity throughout the aviation industry. This is why truth always comes to light, and justice always finds its way. If this story shows you that dignity and respect matter more than assumptions, make sure you subscribe to see more stories where justice prevails. Because when we stand together against discrimination, we make real change happen." Following the revelation of Director Harrison's true identity and the undeniable documentation of discriminatory treatment he had experienced from airport personnel who were directly accountable to his administrative authority, immediate and comprehensive reforms were implemented throughout the airport facility to address institutional bias, enhance employee training programs, and establish systematic accountability measures that would ensure no passenger would ever again face discriminatory treatment based on racial assumptions or prejudiced stereotypes that had no place in professional customer service environments. Williams was immediately suspended, pending a thorough investigation and mandatory comprehensive diversity training that would determine her future employment eligibility, while all VIP lounge staff and customer service personnel were required to complete extensive sensitivity awareness programs and customer service excellence training that emphasized the fundamental importance of treating every passenger with dignity and respect, regardless of their appearance, background, or any stereotypical assumptions that employees might harbor about their qualifications or membership status. The incident became a catalyst for industry-wide discussions about discrimination in airport customer service and the critical importance of systematic reforms to ensure equal treatment and professional service delivery for all passengers, regardless of their demographic characteristics or the prejudiced assumptions of service personnel who had clearly demonstrated inadequate training and inappropriate attitudes toward diversity and inclusion in aviation environments. Harrison used the experience as an opportunity to establish the Airport Diversity Excellence Initiative, a comprehensive program that included ongoing training, systematic monitoring, and accountability measures designed to eliminate discriminatory practices while promoting inclusive customer service and professional conduct that reflected the highest standards of hospitality and equal treatment for all airport users and aviation industry stakeholders. Within weeks of the incident, video footage and witness testimonials about Harrison's grace under pressure and professional leadership had spread throughout the aviation industry and beyond, inspiring airports worldwide to examine their own policies and practices while implementing similar programs to prevent discrimination and ensure equal treatment for all passengers who deserved respectful service regardless of their race background or any assumptions that personnel might make about their qualifications or legitimacy. The transformation extended beyond individual attitudes and facility policies to influence broader conversations about unconscious bias, institutional discrimination, and the need for systematic changes that would ensure equal opportunities and respectful treatment for all individuals who utilized airport services and aviation facilities throughout the transportation industry. Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport became a model for diversity and inclusion in aviation customer service. With Harrison's leadership and the facility's comprehensive reform programs earning recognition from industry organizations, civil rights groups, and government agencies that promoted best practices in equal treatment and professional service delivery. The incident demonstrated how effective leadership, institutional accountability, and commitment to meaningful change could transform discriminatory practices into opportunities for education, improvement, and lasting progress that benefited not only individual facilities, but entire industries that served diverse populations and communities throughout the global aviation system. Harrison's story became a powerful example of how professional excellence and moral courage could triumph over institutional bias and discriminatory treatment, while creating opportunities for systematic reform and cultural transformation that would benefit countless future passengers who deserved equal treatment and respectful service regardless of their background or the limited perspectives of individuals who had failed to recognize the fundamental principles of dignity and equal treatment that should govern all human interactions in professional service environments. But Director Harrison's story is just one example of how truth always comes to light in the aviation industry. Next video. Watch what happens when a black professor's 25-year secret is revealed during flight training. When aviation students question their instructor's qualifications, the most educational moment in pilot training history unfolds. You won't believe what happens when experience meets ignorance. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and turn on notifications for new content. Don't forget to hit the like button if this story moved you, and share your thoughts and opinions about this situation in the comments below.